session in the afternoon is always the most difficult one. And we have a big topic to talk about this afternoon. I think we're doing our best to keep you awake, informed, curious, and entertained. So, as the host of Football Café podcast, the first question I always ask my guests is I know you love football, but do you like coffee? Do you love coffee? Let's start from CJ.
My go-to coffee is always a hot Americano, simply because I can drink more of it than an espresso.
Nice. Bella?
Flat white is my choice, and it's like a morning routine. I cannot start the day without a coffee, so I am a coffee lover.
Nice. Michael?
I would say espresso macchiato. That would be my thing.
Very fancy and classic. And Martin?
Yeah, for me, very similar to Pere. I drink 3 coffees a day, and also it's flat white. And I also need for sure one in the morning to get the engine started.
Nice. And I love coffee too. How about you? Like coffee? Raise your hand. Nice. And I know all of you love football. So first of all, I'd like to thank WFS for bringing us here. And I would like to thank football for connecting all of us right here in the auditorium and for everyone who's watching virtually on the app. So the first real question, besides coffee, for all of our panelists today is, can you talk about your role in China? Because all of you have worked in China or work in relation with China for many, many years. And our audience probably have read your bio, but I'd like to hear from you. What do you do in China? And what makes you most passionate about working in the football landscape in China? Shall we start from Martin?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, WFS, for having me here today and have the chance to speak with such high-level football representatives in China, from China. And it's an honor for me. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks again to see you. You also visited our club in Germany a few years ago, and it was a great pleasure to see that you are the moderator of the day. So, hello everyone. Thank you for being here. Borussia Mönchengladbach. Since 2018, we are in China. I'm the general manager overseeing all of our China activities and projects and operations. And let me explain that a little further to you. Since 2018, as I said, we are in China and focusing on football projects, football development projects especially. This is one side. We have been conducting projects with local governments, with football associations, with sports bureaus especially, but also with the private sector. During the years, we have had 2 Borussia academies, one in Shanghai, which is still our flagship project now in China with 350 kids. We had until COVID, we had a Borussia academy in Guangzhou as well, which is unfortunately not there anymore. Then we have a very interesting project in Shanghai as well. It's a CSR project, and we do it with several partners together at migrant worker schools in Shanghai. So this is the sportive part. Of course, we also active in other fields. This is we serve and take care of our partners and sponsor commercially wise. We mostly involve them also in our sports projects because this is what Borussia Mönchengladbach is. We are not the biggest brand in the world, but when it's about football development, then we can proudly say we are one of the top clubs. So this one part, of course, since 2016, 17, we have a pretty robust social media presence in China, doing pretty good there. And also, of course, we have a lot of fans in China, and we are on regular basis engaging them and making them happy. So this is, let's say, the football professional part. And we also, of course, we are more than a football club or more than doing football. I think you can agree on that because football brings the world together, right? So we are also a bridge and a platform for, in our case, for German-China relations in terms of diplomatic exchange, but also in terms of bringing businesses together, bringing education organizations together, and of course culture. So your question was, what is my passion about it? I mean,
Exactly.
I'm not a football industrial guy from scratch. I just joined the industry 8 years ago. My hometown is the city of Mönchengladbach, so you can imagine my religion is the club Borussia Mönchengladbach, right? And I'm in China and doing business with China and managing business between Germany and China since 15 years already, being in other industries, automotive, railway, for example, before. So you can imagine now, for me, being able to bring my profession together with my passion and love, my football club. This is more than a job, it's a mission.
Love it. And for anyone who hasn't been to Borussia Park in Mönchengladbach, highly recommend it. Great atmosphere. Now let's travel from Mönchengladbach to LaLiga. Michael, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here, and be on the panel with such a great experts. From my side, representing LaLiga, we just celebrated LaLiga last year, the 10th anniversary, as the first, I would say, football league, international football league in China. So having said that, I mean, we've been here long enough. We've experienced quite a bit. And as a league, our role is obviously to bring the Spanish culture of football to China. My role in this is that, as we all know, China is changing very rapidly. And things what you do probably 10 years ago is definitely not the same anymore. 4 years ago, I was brought on as the vice president, specialized in strategy as well as in innovation. So my role has been looking at the changes, adapting to the to the differences, and as well as looking after the interest of LaLiga, obviously in China in the market. So we're talking about anything. We are actually exploring to see models. We're looking at technologies. Obviously, sports project, with grassroots is something big on our list. We just actually established an academy in Shanghai, just earlier this year, and 4 years ago we actually set up the academy in Taiwan. Taiwan, for probably all of you know, it's not very big in football. But on the grassroots level, over the last 4 years, we've been very proud to be able to build a very sustainable business out there, as well as helping the local authorities and the local communities in terms of engaging in football. So all in all, I think it's really, really important for us to be here on the ground and to contribute to our expertise into this market, but then at the same time respect the market, the complexity, and everything else. So having said that, answering the question about the passion. From the passion perspective, I've been in China for 25 years, been in the sports industry ever since, and have obviously seen quite a bit, and it's been a real exciting ride, I must say. And to me, passion is about when I see a kid in our academy full of hopes, scoring goals, or our friends, the fans in a bar watching one of our games. Those are kind of things that brings back the fun of it. And I'm not a great football player, I would mention, but I played football since I was 5 years old till I was 18. I was in the system in Europe, and I I've seen it in firsthand, experienced the part that football should be fun, and we need to keep that way, and that is what passion comes to me.
Lovely. Now we'll take you back from Spain to Henan.
Yes.
Pele, congratulations for the first ever FA Cup final for Henan FC.
Thank you very much.
In their history.
Appreciate it.
Please.
Good.
Yeah, well, as you said, I'm sports director at Henan. I arrived like 5 months ago, just in April. So I feel lucky to be part of this amazing milestone for the club of reaching the final. It's going to be tough. We play Beijing, a great team, but we will do our best. I've been 10 years in China. I started in Wuhan, 2014, building up Wuhan 3 towns from scratch, together with the Federation and Shangwen. Huge project. From them, I moved to the CFA. I helped them on the academic Erasmus as a coordinator. I took the national team for a while. And then I jumped to Dalian. I spent great time in Dalian with Rafa Benitez, building up the whole club structure, professionalizing through one effort what it was, the club, and I think we did it pretty good. And then my last stage now just started in Henan, where I hope to spend many years and bring to Henan fans more magic nights like the one we brought the other day. And when you ask about my passion becomes my mission, and this is to help Chinese people, local people, to be better. For me as a foreigner, there's no other mission than this. What makes me feel happy is when I see young Chinese players that I was working for, or Chinese coaches that I was working for along the journey, jump to the professional stage, jump to the national team. This makes me feel really happy, because at the end, as a foreigner, if I cannot help local people to be better, if I cannot help Chinese clubs, Chinese players, Chinese federations to be better, I'm failing. So this is my main passion, and it turns my main mission.
Wonderful. Last but not least, CJ. I know a lot of people, especially Chinese kids, listening to you, will be wondering, how did you make your way from China to FIFA? Please.
Just straight to your point, I call it a profession with passion. I think in my role as the FIFA development manager for particularly the member association and national FA in East Asia, I feel most passionate or proud when I am able to bring a project from an idea on paper all the way to something tangible, be it infrastructure projects, well-organized competition, or just some investment in technology like VAR. And the point is seeing these projects taking shape and knowing that these projects will help the sustainable growth of football in that country or territory is something really, really rewarding. And it's what drives me the most. I'm still very passionate about. And further to that, I do believe it's the building of relationship with all the multiple stakeholders along the journey, right? At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're connected through emotion, passion, and sometimes even temperament. And I think what truly matters to me are the genuine relationship, the friendship that we know we can carry forward with us, even beyond the roles and positions we're holding today.
Wonderful. So our topic today is to understand the depth and vision of the Chinese football landscape. I know all of you have had many years of work experience in the football industry in China, and maybe you also have had your learning curve yourselves. I was born and raised in China. I'm still learning about Chinese football landscape every day. So my question for the next one is, if there's one piece of learning that you've ever had and you wanted to share with the audience today about Chinese football landscape, what would be that? Shall we start from CJ to Martin?
I'm going to be careful with my words, and not necessarily a learning. I would say perhaps a realization is that the Chinese football shouldn't be defined or measured or even judged by just one single element or tournament. You know, either whether it's qualifying for World Cup or you win or lose some important information. The competition or match or tournament. For me, it's more about just building this sound and complete ecosystem that can sustain all sorts of football activities at different levels. And to me, maybe just two conditions, or let's say two major pillars in this type of ecosystem. I think number one is a widely respected football culture. which means the environment. People or the parents should view football or participating in football as equally important as academics. And then on top of that, I think it's the effective system in terms of management. And after that, you can throw into the mix like quality coaching, accessible infrastructure, and a very strong grassroots foundation. And I think that's very important. And in terms of the learning or realization, it's about building a whole picture instead of just use one single element to either success or just to define the nature of the Chinese football.
Love it. Pele, please.
Well, I will approach the question from a different perspective.
Yes.
Because as a foreigner, I always chat with a lot of colleagues that come to China for the first time, and they always ask for a piece of advice. I always say, I'm going to try to give you hope. Okay? And what is hope? Hope is age, from being humble. Most of the biggest mistakes of the foreigners is not to be humble enough. When they arrive China, we think we know a lot, and the Chinese people doesn't know anything. Big mistake. Chinese people know a lot as well. So if you are not humble, you will break down. Second is to be optimism, because without optimism, there's nothing you can do. China needs a lot of optimistic people because we have to be positive. It's going to be a lot of challenges along the way, and you have to be very optimistic to overcome difficulties. P for patient. Mama Lai. This is the first word I learned when I was in China. Everything goes Mama Lai, so you have to be zen and understand that it's about patience, it's about changing. I've been 10 years. I can tell after 10 years, football in China has changed a lot, has improved a lot, but it took 10 years of pain and sacrifice and process. And E, from exemplariness. As a foreigners, we cannot forget that we are an example for the Chinese and the local people. They are observing us 24 hours a day. And if we are not a lot much better than them in terms of ethic, performance, football knowledge, we will not help them. So we have to be an example for everyone on the room. And this is something that sometimes foreigners don't realize. It's not just inside the pitch, it's also outside the pitch. 24/7, you have to prove that you are here for helping them, because if you don't do this, you will not allow them to be better, and you will fail as a foreign expert. So at the end, if you want a piece of advice, I always give hope.
Thanks for giving us a new definition of the word hope. Like it. Michael, please.
Okay. Well, both gentlemen here, they have very much summarized, a lot of these things. Being here, in this market, I think we all kind of experience all this. Now, my take of being here 25 years, when we talk about football, it's a culture by itself, right? And that is something that we do. I mean, I see every one of us as a sort of like a bridge of bringing the expertise from the West, to China. China, it's a very large country. Over the 25 years being here, I mean, just imagine just seeing the growth. It's amazing. I mean, I don't have a second word for this. It's something but that doesn't mean because you can buy with money, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I think, I would say, in what we call the football boom, before COVID, there was a lot of money spent buying star players. We were on the headline on the global sports market. We did all that, but the point of the matter is, it's not sustainable. So for one simple reason, there is, and again, I'm going to be careful with my word, there isn't a what I call a solid foundation. Now, this to support or promote a culture, it takes time. It's not. It takes generations to understand, and the success. It has to come from many aspects. everything what you guys just said. I mean, without that, I mean, it's just not sustainable, and that's why I think, again, one piece of advice. It's just like when you build a skyscraper, a big building. Well, what do you think first? Foundation, and that's what we need. And when we look at foundation, we're talking about youth. We're talking about grassroots football. A stadium, when you have money, you can buy, you can build, but grassroots, there should be investment. There should be more like attention to that to grow. The grassroots project, and I do believe everything goes back to having the right foundation if you want to build something great.
Thanks for putting out the foundation, because in terms of a building or a pyramid, foundation is everything. And last but not least, for this topic, Martin, please.
Yeah, if I would sum it up, my biggest learnings, and this is not only for the football industry, because I was in different industries before, is nothing is as certain as the uncertainty, and be aware and be prepared for changes which occur constantly. So we all know the Chinese professionalized football sports industry with international elements. It's a pretty young industry, right? So it's not mature yet, and we are all together still forming it, right? So this is a very interesting mission, but also very challenging, because you need to prepare for certain circumstances, because as the industry with international elements, if I would call it like this, has no long or very few long-term standards which an organization can refer to and stick to, right? So the trick for us as Borussia Mönchengladbach, our trick was to be as flexible as possible, because flexibility is the best way to navigate you to the Chinese vast changing environment, business environment. So if I shine a light on that for our example, in 2018 we came into the market, we established a company, we established an office, and we came with 100% business portfolio, let's put it that way, of football projects. We came here to China to develop the football, or at least to contribute with our little support we can give to serve China to achieve their dream as a football nation, right? So especially at that time, 2018 and following years, we did a lot of projects, short-term and long-term projects with local governments, of course, and which means football associations, which means sports bureaus, local sports bureaus. And then in 2020, as we all know, the pandemic hit, and this was a big cut in our business operations, because we were 100% focused on those sports projects. So then from today to tomorrow, all those projects more or less got terminated or broke away, and it was very difficult to acquire new projects in this crisis times, right? So we needed to be very quick reaction to change our business operations approach, and we to immediately change to focus more on commercial partnerships like sponsorings, seeking for sponsors, and but also on the other side, we broaden the portfolio to leverage better our strategic partners such as Bundesliga, or also the city of Mönchengladbach, which is, as you know, in China, if you have a European or a global city, international city, yeah, this opens a lot of doors, right? And also with university partners, we use those strategic partnerships to have a chance to survive, right? And also then during the last 2 years, we also looked over the border, also in the neighboring countries, for example, Japan. In the first step, we also, let's say, did the Vanguard, or we served at the Vanguard in Japan to start in the market to build up the first corporations, or let's say the first contacts. And then since last season, we are successfully in Japan, already had the kickoff projects and having a great foundation there. So what is the learning? And the key word, it's flexibility. You need to be, not only from your mindset, you need to be flexible if you are in the Chinese business sphere. You also, your organization should be flexible. And I just can recommend, be flexible and steer and navigate your business towards opportunities, but also market trends.
We got 4 great keywords or phrases, whatever you would like to call it, from the 4 wonderful panelists: big picture, hope, foundation, and flexibility. Now I'm going to ask the next question. A lot of our audience today here and virtually joining us today are interested in knowing something substantial about the Chinese football current landscape and what's happening in the future. So the next question I would like to ask every one of you is, in your opinion, in your eyes, what is the biggest challenge or opportunity? Challenge is opportunity. So what is the biggest challenge or opportunity, in your opinion, in the current Chinese football ecosystem, and where you will see it go in the next 5 years? I know it's a big question, but I'm sure you can give us something solid and sweet. Let's start with Martin, please.
Okay, if you formulate the question like that, then let me start with the challenges, because I wanted to start with opportunities, but we also can build it up that way. So the challenge, I actually already explained in my statement before. The challenge for us has been that we originally were very close to local governments to conduct projects, and those since the pandemic were very rare and the budgets were very low. So I already explained to you that we needed to look for other ways, right? So that's a challenge. And compared to, I mean, I love my club, but I'm very realistic. Since 3 years, I know our club is not doing so well. So what I mean with so well, it's from the Chinese perspective, right? I mean, we are still okay. We are number 10, but from the Chinese perspective, it's like, okay, they are not participating in Europe, so
Champions League every season.
Yes, exactly. So we know this is, so we lost a little bit of international relevance from the fan perspective, but it doesn't change anything on the portfolio we are offering, because for being a club which is a top club when it's about youth development, we are still there and we still can deliver, right? So that's the challenge. The opportunity, actually it's very easy. The opportunity is having a Chinese pro player at some point at Borussia Mönchengladbach, because this is a game changer. This locally will not only boost the club, but also it's very helpful for the league. I think our friends from LaLiga, they know that, and they still feel it from your good times with Wule, right? And also Espanyol Barcelona, I see Espanyol Barcelona is also not a top club in the world, but they are, in my, let's say, objective perspective, they are doing pretty well in China, right? So, and this is still from the Wule time. So the opportunity is who gets the first or second or third Chinese pro player in the first team will be a big winner. So the market will be open. And speaking about a local hero, all the agencies in the room, please listen up for a second. Just to give you an example how to use it, we now have a new player at Borussia Mönchengladbach. His name is Kevin Dix, and he's an Indonesian national. And he's one of the 2 key players of the Indonesian national team, right? So he now changed to Borussia Mönchengladbach, and we already can see he will be a first squad player. He's pretty good, and we are, what we saw until now, pretty satisfying. So this is a great chance for our club to open the door to Indonesia, not only because of him, but also 3 years ago we actually laid the foundation in Indonesia because we built up a Borussia academy in Jakarta, so we already have a youth project there combined with him. Of course, that's also a great opportunity for partners, for brands to jump on the train and use the platform, right? So this just as an example, what one player can, how one player can open a market, and this is also relevant for us in China, because Indonesia, since day one, I would say, since a few decades, is a #1 target market for Chinese products. So
Exactly.
that could be a good foundation, right? So was a bit advertisement on site, but very necessary for you to feel the opportunity, right? So then I will be a bit shorter now on the prediction because
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for the Chinese player, the next one going to the major 5 leagues in Europe. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard to predict, very hard to predict, because in China the political impact is huge, of course, and we, of course, hope that the market goes in direction with more government support or proper government support. I mean, we had 2 weeks ago, we had this big meeting from the central government, the State Council, hosted by Li Qiang, the premier, and they also said they are going to support and push now the sports industry, especially concerning the consumption, events, activities. So we now as a club, because we are the, let's say, the little part of the chain, so now we are assessing and seeing what will comes out of that, what arrives at the locality, right? And how we can use that in the future. So
that's a very good case that you just introduced.
Yes, and for the sportive thing, I'm not the sports.
I'm not going to say any name.
Specialist. I mean, 5 years ago we were not our scouting, let's say, didn't. It was not a key market. Let's put it that way, China. But since 2 years, I would say there's sometimes an interesting Chinese talent popping up on the radar. So if with my non-very professional sportive knowledge would listen to our experts, I would say in the next 5 years we will have more and more Chinese talented players popping up.
We'll see. Thank you, Martin. Michael, please.
Going to LaLiga, right?
See that.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it is China, we are at a crossroad. I mean, over the last 10, 20 years, you know, how we see, you know, the Chinese football has been developed. I think we're actually at the point, the real opportunity is at a reset. I think it's kind of like, it's time to take a step back, look at the real problem, and go from there. So what we have seen, you know, the challenges that we were facing, you know, the performance, the league, the teams, you name it. That has always been something that for the audience is like, oh, you know, hey, we didn't win, we didn't get into World Cup, blah blah blah, you know. But that all has an explanation. The explanation goes back to the root. If you don't have that kind of foundation, it's very tough. And investment, you know, comes with reward. Except we are in a long haul. This is something, again, goes back to what I said earlier. We're building a culture, and the government does realize that. I mean, there's a lot of movement on the government side. I mean, over the past 10, 12 years that we've been in China with LaLiga, I mean, we've worked with, you know, we've worked with the China FA. We've worked with the China, you know, Ministry of Education. We've done all camps. We've sent a lot of coaches. You know, we've done a great deal. And most recently, we signed a strategic partnership with CFL, For the reason we were helping them with the professionalization of their professional teams, working with the coaches, working with the operators in terms of sharing our expertise in the governance, in the financial control. At the same time, on the grassroots part, I mean, all of this is that, sure, I mean, Spain, we are doing pretty okay, and but that's not the same. I mean, it's not just copy and paste. It's something that we have to be sensitive to the local situation. I mean, it's a very complex process, but at the end of the day, it's still football. So the thing is, it's understand and taking the time for that. And a prediction over the next 5 years, obviously, I would love to see more Chinese players in LaLiga. That will make my job a lot easier, for one. But I mean, just being realistic, I mean, I think in the next 5 years, it's not going to be glamorous. Okay, we're going to have to do some real hard work to build things. To invest in grassroots, to invest in everything that's related to the foundation of the build-up. And it's not going to be easy. But I think if we are there to do so, we will certainly create results. I mean, China, over the last 25 years, I mean, living in this country, I've seen it. I've seen we can do this. And I'm a strong believer it's going to get even better. So, at the end, you just have to put your time to it and real effort. And LaLiga, we celebrated our 10 years here, and we're here for a long haul. We're going to be here for another 10 years at least. And it's an honor for us to be able to contribute it to the to the development of football for China.
Nice. La Liga, Bundesliga, Premier League, Serie A, all the leagues. I remember when I was growing up in Beijing, I would wake up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning to watch on TV a live game with my dad. So let's keep our fingers crossed for the future, at least for the next 5 years. Now we're going to hear from Pere from the sporting side. I know you're not going to disclose any academy player names, but you have something to tell us.
They are in my agenda.
Yes.
No, well, once again,
We'll talk later, huh?
absolutely. Commercial side is one thing, and technical side is another thing, and this is something that definitely we have to put together. I would say that in the last 10 years, 15 years, world China in terms of football has been a one-direction road, only one road, I think. People from outside China come to China to help and develop players, coaches, physiotherapists, analysts, technology. Everything comes from abroad to help China to develop. So the challenge for the next 5 years should be, of course, consolidate this path because we still can do it better and start creating the second way. We have to start creating a path for young generation of Chinese people going abroad to develop themselves. And not just players, also coaches, also physiotherapists, also scouts, also analysts. There's a new generation of Chinese young people really well prepared, speaking great English. We have a clear example.
Yeah.
Powerful people that can be game changers, but they have to go abroad and they have to develop themselves and then bring back their knowledge and make Chinese football better. And it's the way it should be, and we have to help this path. So this will be the challenge for the next 5 years regarding my point of view. And if you ask me if they are ready, yes, they are. And also the players, they are ready. New generation of players in China, born 2005, 2006, 2007. For the first time in the last 15, 20 years, we have a bunch of players that can compete in Europe at the highest level. And this has to make us feel proud because although you say there's many things we can do better, things had been done in a right way, and there's now a bright future if we look at with the proper eyes in terms of exporting talent from China to abroad, and when they develop abroad, come back to China to make China bigger again. And this should be a little bit the life motive in the coming 5 years. And as I said, our job is to help them to make their dreams come true. That's why you're here. And I will be pleased to see a lot of Chinese young players excelling in Europe, but also Chinese coaches and other professionals in different technical areas that can still be developed.
That gives us a lot of hope. Last but not least, CJ, please wrap up our panel discussion. I think it's the right way to let FIFA representative to wrap this up, right?
First of all, thank you, Pere. That's very kind of you. I'm not that powerful, but hopefully I'm qualified enough for this panel.
You are.
And goes to your question, opportunity or not, I would say the biggest trend so far is the rapid growth of all sorts of the city football leagues, with Jiangsu Super Leagues being a leading example. We call it Suchao in Chinese, right? And to me, it's a very good initiative at the grassroots level. I would say that not only does it provide opportunity or possibility for those players that didn't make it to the pro level, it also provides an opportunity for just simply people, even like retire or not, right? People that love football, love playing football, like Ethan, you and me, under 40 squad, we can join and play, right? There's a possibility. And at the same time, it also gives a platform for those players who are on their way to becoming a pro, right? Some of the academy players and youth players, they're also included on the squad as well. And this is simply from the football perspective. And what I'm trying to say is on a broader scale, right? They did a fantastic job, obviously, with the with the endorsement from the local authority and the government as well. They did a good job of leveraging the social impact of football to boost the culture and tourism industry in that province or city. So to me, that's really, really a win-win situation, in my opinion. Your second question is, how does it look like in 5 years, right? So I would like to see more sustainability out of it, right? Because right now, lots of expense we didn't take into consideration. For example, the support from the local authorities, such as the stadium rental, as well as the security, things like that. And I would say, like, I don't know how the audience feel. 5 years to me for football development is quite a short time frame, to be honest. So to answer your question honestly, I expect to see the scenario to be largely the same as today, which is good. And because the market will always be there, the fans were cheering for the teams, and there are always opportunities for the European clubs and leagues to chip in and find your niche. It doesn't matter super club, big club, or small club. You can always find your niche in such a huge population. So I guess just carry on.
Wonderful. I think we have had a productive 40 minutes. We can keep going for 40 hours talking about this topic, but I have to hand the mic back to Chris. So thank you, everyone, for being with us this afternoon. Thank you, our wonderful 4 panelists, for giving your insights from different perspectives. If you're interested in knowing more, please come to us, grab a cup of coffee, and we'll have another chat. Thank you very much.